Acting Governor General, colleague Prime Ministers, and heads of government, I beg leave to adopt the protocol so ably established before me, save and accept to recognize the presence of several members of the Federal Cabinet of St. Kitts and Nevis, and in particular Senior Minister, the Honorable Vance Amory, our Attorney General, the Honorable Vincent Byron, our Minister of Energy, the Honorable Ian Patches Liburd, Ms. Wendy Phipps, our Senator Perkins, our Honorable Deputy Speaker and Cabinet Secretary. For me, it is a pleasure to join His Excellency, our Acting Governor General, in welcoming you to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis to be part of this important meeting of the Board of Governors of the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB. It is truly an honor for me and my new administration to host the 45th annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the CDB and to ensure that the meeting is successful in achieving the set objectives. I am told that a number of participants have traveled some distance to be here, but whatever the length of your journey, we welcome you with an open embrace. We trust that you will find time out of your busy official schedule to enjoy the exquisite beauty of our Twin Island Federation and the legendary warmth and hospitality of our Kittitian and Nevisian people. I would like to propose that the time spent over the next 2 days should also include serious reflection on the big picture as it relates to the development agenda for the future prosperity of our Caribbean. Many of us know all too well the narrative that chronicles the sequence of events of our long and arduous journey as a Caribbean people. The legacy that has been built by our forefathers and the current generation of leaders has been punctuated with challenges which we have attempted to address with varying degrees of success. Over the last decade on average, the Caribbean countries as a group have experienced lackluster real GDP growth and have seen small increases in per capita incomes. This matter must be of concern to all of us, including the CDB, charged with ensuring the harmonious growth and development of the Caribbean region. The Caribbean ranks high on the Human Development Index relative to other developing and emerging markets. The region's average literacy rates are very high, and life expectancy at birth is classified as high, averaging 70+ years. On the other hand, the poverty rates in the region are also high, too high, I must stress, averaging over 40% for some CDB borrowing member countries. This is coupled with serious income disparity, unacceptable high levels of unemployment and underemployment, and social exclusion of important segments of our population. The quiet and tranquility of our tropical regional paradise is too often shattered by homicides and violent crimes. No development can take place on a sustainable basis when our people are at war with themselves. We must therefore tackle this matter of violent crimes and homicides head-on in all their multi-dimensionality. Today, we must pause to ask 3 fundamental questions about the current and future journey of our Caribbean people. Where are we now? Where are we headed? And how will we get there? I am aware of several research projects being undertaken in respect of gathering information and various aspects of the development situation in the Caribbean. We also have to agree that as a result of this ongoing research, we already have some answers to the first question. Therefore, I take the opportunity to commend all institutions that are leading in this important work. The other two questions present the region with a little more of a challenge as the world continues to change around us, and by all accounts, it is growing increasingly fierce and uncompromising in the face of our vulnerabilities and our right to exist as small, independent states. The current state of affairs in the global environment and the regional and national realities are all signaling that the Caribbean is at a critical crossroad. Truth be told, time and externalities emanating from global events will not allow us to settle at this crossroad for too long without choosing a path. It is therefore fitting to pause for deep reflection, and I submit that the time spent over these 2 days is an opportune occasion for us to consider how we will move forward in order to ensure sustainability of our fragile region and the long-term prosperity of our nation states and indeed of all people. We must turn the right corner in many aspects of our development if we are to realize lasting success in achieving sustainable and inclusive job-rich growth, bring an end to the scourge of poverty, arrest the growing trends in youth unemployment and youths at risk. We must make the right choices to attain food and energy security, build resilience to externalities, and strengthen our regional integration efforts. When this chapter of our history is examined, it must confirm discernible results of our success in the implementation of strategies that address in a meaningful way the urgent needs of our people, particularly those who are currently marginalized and excluded. Too many of our people are still forced to eke out an existence under the crippling grip of poverty. Too many of our young people are still crying out, "Boss, nothing now go on for we." Too many of our people live in the ghettos of the inner cities, while our leaders focus on the high-end enclave developments in our tourist areas. St. Kitts and Nevis posits non-inclusive pattern of development is inimical to the Caribbean civilization which we aspire to create at its ennobling best. Too many people have no money to take care of themselves and their families, yet our banking system is overflowing with cash, concomitant with a hollow cry of limited investable opportunities in the sub-region. And all this happens in the face of our young men and ladies buzzing with ideas but no cash, ready for prime time, in vibes in dancehall, in poetry, in arts, in craft, in culture, in videography, in choreography, in sports and entertainment. They find the dearth of resources to pursue their dreams, to make them somebody. Our financial system must be incentivized to move from the import-driven retail and wholesale sectors and the drainage of our foreign exchange to finance new, innovative industries and productive engagements in agriculture, in tourism, in manufacturing, in arts and entertainment. It is perhaps here that a development bank must bring a new focus, a new attention, and new resources to help to pursue a people-centered path of diversification in which a new local entrepreneurial class is nurtured and supported. Access to low-cost financial resources and technical expertise remain the backbone for achieving the sustainable development agenda for the Caribbean region. In this regard, we need to seriously explore the potential for public-private sector partnerships to play a role in enabling sustainable and scalable financial access. While I agree that the Triple Ps have potential to expand access to untapped financial resources necessary to support development, I am not certain that we have found a good model for fully unlocking this potential in the Caribbean. It is therefore essential for us to collectively deepen the discussion on the active role each stakeholder can play to make it happen. Professor Shirley's presentation last night is a good prelude to the type of discussions that we must hold. We must also identify the pool of viable private sector partners within the region and beyond that are capable of going the distance with any plans for expanding the economic infrastructure. The bank has an important role to play in creating an environment for the private sector to innovate and flourish. I encourage the bank to find further soft resources to be made available to our development banks for support to our farmers, our fishers, our hairdressers, and truckers. Many of these small entities feel left out in the cold by our commercial banks. During my most recent election campaign, it is these people to whom I committed a fair share for all, prosperity for all. That message resonated very well, and as a result, I am here making this presentation in their name and honor, but also in the hope that the small man, the small businessman will get a fresh start to survive in an unfair and challenging world. Over the next phase of our development, we must achieve better results in reducing poverty in our region. We have another chance to defy the curse of the children of Sisyphus. These accursed children rolled stones to the top of the hill, or near the top of the hill, to have them roll back down the hill to start the process over and over again. So how about a fresh start in tackling our development challenge? We have a couple of ideas to prefer. How about an integrated regional approach to the production and distribution of alternative energy, be it blue or green? Wouldn't it be a game changer if the Caribbean assumed leadership in alternative energy export? Would not this have enormous implications for the cost of doing business and development in our region? A leadership role here will do wonders for our competitiveness. Imagine a new OECS space with St. Kitts and Nevis, Dominica, Grenada, leading in geothermal energy for the sub-region, Puerto Rico, the French overseas territories, and the Southern Islands. Imagine the results: new jobs, new skills, new sources of foreign exchange, new dynamics in trade, and sustainable development too. If we can work together, coordinating, sharing, and leveraging financial and other resources, harmonizing regulations across jurisdictions in respect of alternative energy and power purchasing arrangements, we will create an amazing platform from which the CDB can act as an enabler of resources and optimize resources from the Climate Fund. Let us have a fresh start in our approach to alternative energy. What about a fresh start in our approach to the Economic Citizenship Program? Rather than competition be between St. Kitts Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, Grenada, etc., over due diligence, let us develop best practices in the industry as a whole and burnish our credentials as leaders in this industry. St. Kitts and Nevis, as the oldest and the best in the CBI program, will host a conference in the near future on international best practices in CBIs. We invite all countries to come, learn, and join us in working together for a common good. We invite the CDB, the US Treasury, the EU, Canada, and all who can to come and share with us. Development, of course, does not happen by osmosis. Proactive and creative programs like the CBI, properly managed, can help. We envisage a role for the CDB in providing technical support and advice to countries involved in the economic citizenship program. Over the last 2+ years, we have observed and to some extent participated in the quick march of the international community towards a commitment to the proposed Sustainable Development Goals. The much anticipated Third Conference on Financing for Sustainable Development, slated for Addis Ababa later this year, will also shape the new system for financing for sustainable development. And while some would question which set of goals merit an international commitment, the Caribbean must become more engaged in the international processes that will ultimately determine the new framework and define the rules for accessing financing for development. Without a doubt, the prospects for the sustainable development of our Caribbean islands would continue to be seriously challenged if the international community insists that the resource access mechanisms to implement the post-2015 Sustainable Development Agenda is rooted in the narrow confines of the measurement of income per capita GDP. Such a metric has seen too many of us graduated beyond our means to pay or denied access to well-needed resources. Any attempt to define a universally acceptable system for development finance must effectively integrate flexible mechanisms to accommodate the special needs of small states, including the middle and high-income small island development states within the Caribbean. We must not consider income without reflecting on our high debt and other vulnerabilities. To allow the current measurements simply to be transposed to a new system is very disturbing, especially when viewed in light of the threat it poses to the erosion of the hopes and aspirations of the Caribbean people who have a reasonable expectation for the new global system to be inclusive. There is an obvious leadership role for the CDB in respect of the areas I have just mentioned. I recognize that it would be impossible for the bank to singularly raise the capital necessary to make the massive investments required to address the infrastructure deficit of the region over the medium to long term. We will require the non-borrowing members of the bank and other bilateral partners to lend assistance by extending the influence of the bank, other major regional institutions, and the regional governments to reach the Caribbean diaspora and private investors. I pause here to congratulate Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Gonzalez, who at a recent summit on climate change in Martinique on May 9, 2015, invited the President of the Republic of France to rejoin the CDB. Caught by Gonzalez' flighted googly, the President played just as Gonzalez had predicted and committed to have France return as a member of the CDB. Let us give the comrade leader an applause and urge the bank to pursue this formally with France long before we head to Paris for the next climate change summit. In closing, we cannot achieve the success in creating prosperity for all without a strong commitment to the Sustainable Development Agenda and stronger partnerships with the international community. It is not just access to financing that matters, but the impact and outcome of the usage of those funds, the institutions that we build, the values that we adopt and promote, and in the end, the civilization that we mold. Looking ahead, I call on the bank and other regional and international partners to support the efforts of the small states in the region to spur inclusive, job-rich growth in order to reduce poverty and enhance the prospect for attaining prosperity for all in the future. I look forward to a very successful meeting and the opportunity to exchange views with as many of you in the margins of this important meeting. May God bless you. I thank you.